What if I told you that the border between India and Pakistan doesn't truly exist in the kitchen? That while maps show lines drawn by politics and history, the food simmering in homes on both sides tells a much older, deeper, and more human story. Imagine the aroma of onions slowly caramelizing in ghee, the warmth of garam masala blooming in hot oil, the gentle steam rising from rice cooked with patience and care. These scents do not carry passports. They do not ask which side of the border you stand on. They belong to a shared past, a shared land, and a shared memory that long predates modern nations. Unearthing the culinary tapestry of Indo-Pak cuisine is not simply about flavors or recipes. It is about people, movement, belief, survival, and connection. It is about how centuries of migration, trade, conquest, devotion, and coexistence slowly shaped a singular gastronomic identity that still lives on today. Long before the words India and Pakistan meant what they do now, this region was a continuous cultural landscape. Rivers flowed freely, caravans traveled without visas, saints and scholars moved from town to town, and with them traveled food. Thousands of years ago, the Indus Valley was already an agricultural heartland. Wheat fields stretched across fertile plains. Barley and lentils sustained early communities. Milk and dairy became central to daily life. Cooking was simple, practical, and deeply connected to nature. Fire, water, grain, and time were the earliest tools. These foundations still exist today, quietly anchoring even the most elaborate dishes. When you eat a simple roti or a bowl of dal, you are tasting one of humanity's oldest food traditions, unchanged in spirit for millennia. As centuries passed, waves of people arrived and settled, Aryan migrations, Persian influences, Greek incursions, Central Asian movements. Each left traces not just in language and culture, but in kitchens. New ingredients entered the region. Cumin, coriander, fennel, and mustard seeds found new homes. Cooking techniques evolved, roasting spices, slow simmering, fermenting batters. Nothing arrived in isolation. Everything adapted to local climate, soil, and taste. Foreign ideas did not erase what came before. They blended with it. Trade routes played a powerful role in this transformation. The ancient Silk Road was more than a commercial network. It was a cultural artery. Spices from the Malabar coast traveled north. Dried fruits and nuts arrived from Central Asia. Saffron came from Persia. Sugar-making techniques evolved and spread. Merchants stopping in cities like Multan, Lahore, Delhi, and Thada shared meals with locals, exchanged recipes, adapted flavors. Over time, these interactions created a shared palate, one that valued balance, depth, and complexity. Rice and wheat emerged as equal partners in this cuisine. In the river-fed plains, rice thrived, soft, fragrant, and versatile. In drier regions, wheat became essential, shaped into breads that could be baked, roasted, or fried. This duality still defines Indo-Pak food today. Rice for feasts, bread for daily life. Together, they reflect a cuisine shaped by geography and necessity. Lentils added protein, vegetables added color and nutrition, spices added identity. Spices, often misunderstood, were never meant simply to add heat. They were medicine, preservation, and philosophy. Turmeric for healing, cumin for digestion, coriander for balance, chili for warmth. Spices taught cooks how to layer flavors slowly, how to toast whole seeds, how to grind pastes by hand. This patience became part of the culture. Meals were not rushed. Cooking was a daily ritual, an act of care. Spiritual life deeply influenced how food was prepared and shared. Hindu and Buddhist traditions emphasized vegetarian cooking. leading to an extraordinary variety of plant-based dishes, rich in flavor and nutrition. Islamic traditions introduced new methods of meat preparation, halal practices, celebratory feasts during Eid and other occasions. Sufism, with its message of love and unity, turned food into service. Langars and khankas offered free meals to all, regardless of background. Imagine vast pots of lentils and rice simmering not for profit, but for humanity. Food became worship. Nourishment became equality. Sikhism strengthened this idea even further. The tradition of langar, community kitchens open to everyone, reinforced the belief that no one should go hungry. Simple meals, prepared collectively, eaten together on the floor, erased social hierarchies. This practice exists today on both sides of the border, a living reminder that food can unite where ideology divides. Then came the royal kitchens, where shared traditions were refined and elevated. The Mughal era stands out as a defining chapter in Indo-Pak culinary history. Mughal emperors brought Persian sensibilities, emphasis on aroma, texture, and presentation. But they did not impose them blindly. They embraced local spices, local grains, and local techniques. The result was a cuisine of extraordinary richness and balance. Creamy gravies, slow-cooked meats, fragrant rice dishes, each layered with meaning and method. Dum cooking emerged as a hallmark of this era. Food sealed in heavy pots, cooked slowly in its own steam, flavors deepening over time. This technique required patience and trust. You could not rush it. You had to believe that time would do its work. That philosophy still defines many Indo-Pak dishes today. Cooking is not just action, it is waiting. Biryani became the crown jewel of this shared heritage. Whether cooked in Lahore, Delhi, Hyderabad, or Karachi, biryani tells the same story with different accents. Long grain basmati rice, marinated meat, fried onions, yogurt, whole spices. Each region claims superiority, yet all versions share the same soul. Biryani reflects migration, royalty, celebration, and comfort all at once. It is both festive and familiar, complex yet deeply emotional. Kebabs tell another chapter of this story, influenced by Central Asian grilling traditions, adapted to local tastes. Kebabs became softer, spicier, and more intricate. Sikh kebabs, Shami kebabs, chapli kebabs, galuti kebabs, each reflects a regional touch. The tandoor, a clay oven buried in the ground, became central to this tradition. Bread slapped onto its walls, meat roasted in its heat, smoke rising into the air. This technique crossed regions and religions, becoming a shared symbol of culinary identity. Street food brings us closer to everyday life. Chat, with its explosion of flavors, sweet, sour, spicy, crunchy, mirrors the chaos and energy of South Asian cities. Samosas, pakoras, kachoris, snacks meant to be eaten standing up, shared with friends, remembered forever. These foods belong to the people. They are shaped by markets, weather, and rhythm of daily life. Rain makes pakoras taste better. Evenings demand something fried and comforting. This emotional connection to food is universal. Sweets reveal how deeply celebration is woven into this cuisine. Milk reduced slowly into khoya, shaped into gulab jamun, barfi, pita, and halwa. Cardamom, saffron, rose water, subtle flavors that linger gently. These desserts mark life's milestones, births, weddings, festivals, mourning. What is remarkable is how often the same sweets appear across religious boundaries. A dessert served at Diwali may appear at Eid. Sugar unites where doctrine differs. Colonial rule added another layer. Tea became a daily ritual, not just a drink, but a pause, a conversation starter. Baked goods, cutlets, and hybrid curries emerged. Yet even under colonial pressure, the core of the cuisine remained intact. It adapted without losing itself. That resilience is part of its strength. Then came partition, one of the most traumatic events in modern history. Millions displaced, families divided, lives uprooted. In the midst of this chaos, food became memory. Refugees carried recipes across borders, recreated flavors from lost homes, passed them down to children who had never seen those places. A particular spice mix, a style of cooking meat, a way of making bread, became a link to the past. Even today, many families in India and Pakistan cook dishes inherited from grandparents who once lived together in the same towns. For an audience in the United States, this story resonates deeply. America, too, is shaped by migration. Food often becomes the strongest connection to heritage. Italian American, Mexican American, African American cuisines all tell stories of displacement, adaptation, and survival. Indo-Pak cuisine fits into this global narrative. It reminds us that identity is layered, that cultures overlap, that borders are recent, but food memory is ancient. Today, Indo-Pak restaurants across the US often share menus. Biryani, naan, tikka, curry, rarely labeled by nationality. Diners enjoy the food without knowing the history behind it. Yet every bite carries centuries of shared experience. Food quietly preserves unity, even when politics emphasizes difference. So the next time you sit down with a plate of biryani or dip naan into a rich curry, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, whose story are you tasting? When spices bloom in oil, whose footsteps echo in that sound? When rice steams gently, whose patience lives on in that process? Can food teach us something that textbooks and headlines cannot? Can a shared meal soften hardened narratives? In a world increasingly divided, can remembering shared flavors help us remember shared humanity? And for those watching in the United States, a nation built on diversity, what lessons can be drawn from a cuisine that refuses to be divided by borders? If food can cross centuries in conflict, can understanding it help us see each other more clearly? And perhaps the most important question of all, if the kitchen remembers unity, should we?